What's up guys, my name is Rising and welcome back to another gun guide. This is the series where we go deep into all of the important stats for every single gun in COD Mobile's multiplayer. And towards the end, I provide some optimal class setups that works the best for you. And today, we're covering the brand new weapon that came with the Season 2 of COD Mobile, which is the Lachmann-556 assault rifle. First appeared in Modern Warfare 2, the Lachmann-556 is based on the iconic Heckler & Koch HK-33 assault rifle. Chambered in the NATO-standardized 5.56 ammunition, the HK-33 was developed during the 1960s as a smaller caliber, more maneuverable evolution of the G3 battle rifle. The Lachmann-556 in this game will be a 4-shot kill all the way to its second damage range, which is 25 meters in this case. After that, it'll be a 5-shot kill till 35 meters, and further beyond, it'll reduce to a 6-shot. It does have a very solid head multiplier, which means up close, you'll require a single shot to the head to reduce to a 3-shot kill. You can even get a 3-shot in its second and third ranges if you manage to hit 2 and 3 headshots in those respective ranges, which may not be too realistic but is worth pointing out if you're going for camo challenges. But in general, headshots are very effective on this weapon, and you must be aiming high whenever possible with the Lachmann-556. However, that's the only possible way of achieving a 3-shot in this weapon, as the upper torso and lower arm multipliers don't serve any purpose, apart from its third damage range where you can get a 4-shot kill if you land all your shots in the said zones. The rate of fire is identical to the Maddox and the base Dingo at 732 rounds per minute. This means your base 4-shot time to kill will be 249 milliseconds, which stretches all the way to its second damage range, beyond which it's a 332 millisecond 5-shot kill till its third damage range, and further beyond it'll be a 6-shot 415 millisecond time to kill. Even though 249 milliseconds isn't bad for a time to kill, it is slightly below the competitive margin in the current meta. But at the flip side, you get a much better range in return, which you can stretch even further with certain attachments. Its bullet velocity is on the slower side for non-hit scan assault rifles at 800 meters per second, which means it'll be a hit scan till roughly 13 meters. And having a look at the range chart, we see that the Lachmann-556 may not kill the fastest up close, but if we're looking at a lot of mid to long range situations, we will actually get a better time to kill than other similar assault rifles in this game. So in your best interest, you must aim for that 3-shot kill to get a very competitive 166 millisecond time to kill, which can make this gun quite effective in the current meta, paired up with its good range capabilities. And since this features the Modern Warfare 2 gunsmith system, it features a ton of muzzle attachments to choose from. So let us see each of the ones which have a direct effect on our ranges and bullet velocity. I've put all of them here, so you may pause the video if you want to compare between the ones you're interested in using. However, in my opinion, I'd suggest either the Polar Fire Suppressor that gives us the best range boost out of all of them, and also giving a very good 30% boost to our bullet velocity, or the Harbinger D20, which has a great 40% improvement to our bullet velocity, and also giving a 15% range boost. However, the Polar Fire Suppressor comes with a hefty reduction to our aim-down sight speed, so if you want to cut it in half, you can alternatively use the Gauge 9 Mono instead. And these are probably the only 3 muzzles that I'll recommend using, as the other ones have way too less upsides compared to the downsides they offer. So depending on how much you can afford to lose out on handling, you can choose from either of the ones I mentioned just now. And with the muzzles out of the way, let us now look at its barrel attachments. And as we can see, the Lock 12 barrel decreases our ranges by 15% and our bullet velocity by 20%, which will have a noticeable effect in our practical gunfights. The Lock Strike barrel only improves our bullet velocity by 30%, which is hardly noticeable. The Aurora barrel improves our ranges by 15% and our bullet velocity by 20%, which is starting to become a bit more noticeable. The Lachmann Nova barrel has an additional 10% range boost to the previous barrel, which is nice to see. However, the best barrel for range is going to be the Lachmann Wrap barrel, with a 35% increase to our ranges and a 30% increase to our bullet velocity, and that's really nice to see. However, the Lock 12 barrel has another pro attached to it, which is a boost to our damage multipliers, so let us have a deeper look on that. And as we can see, the Lock 12 barrel improves our entire torso multiplier by 0.1. This means that now you can achieve a 3-shot kill in the maximum damage range if you hit twice to the upper torso and once to the lower torso or the lower arms. This opens up an alternate way of achieving a 3-shot kill up close, which is great to see on this weapon. And not only that, with this barrel, now you can stretch its potential 4-shot kill all the way to its 3rd damage range, where you need to hit the upper body to achieve that potential. So not only this barrel improves our close range effectiveness, it also improves our mid-range consistency by a significant amount. But keep in mind that this barrel comes with a very noticeable reduction to our ranges and velocity. So in order to use this barrel, you must pair it up with one of those muzzles that help with our ranges and velocity so that the gun doesn't trade all of its long-range consistency with a slightly better close-range effectiveness. Moving on to accuracy, the Lachmann-556 has a pretty standard bullet spread for assault rifles and is fine for the ranges you're going to be taking your encounters. Its hipfire spread is also right about standard for an assault rifle, so there's nothing surprising to see. However, its hit flinch is worse than average for an AR, and you might want to be improving that with attachments if you want to use it at longer ranges. And finally, its bullet impact is standard. And now for recoil. This is one of the biggest strengths of this weapon, because as you can see, this gun has barely any kick, and you'll need absolutely zero effort to control it. This is one of the easiest recoil patterns in the entire game without any attachments equipped, and you can definitely trade out some recoil while building the gun without worrying even the slightest. So, all things considered, the Lachmann-556 is one of the most accurate guns in its class, and you won't have any problem in challenging longer ranges if your aim is on point. Moving on to handling, both its aimed on sight and sprint out times are standard for an assault rifle. However, its mobility stats are below average across the board, so it's something you definitely want to be focusing on while building the gun. Moving on to magazine capacity, this is standard at 30 rounds with 120 in reserve. However, its reload times are on the slower side at 1.56 seconds for its tactical reload and 1.68 seconds while empty. So this is something you want to be keeping in the back of your mind whenever you're in the situation of reloading. Although you can cut it down to 1.33 seconds with sleight of hand if you want. We also have access to 3 different magazine attachments to choose from. Firstly, there's the 15-round reload, which reduces our magazine capacity, but in return greatly improves all of our handling and mobility values, as well as our reload times. However, we're just left with 15 rounds in a moderately firing weapon, and in my eyes at least, that isn't worth trading the upsides at all. We also have the 40-round mags, which reduces all of our handling and mobility values slightly, and there's also the 60-round reload, which has a similar effect as the 40-round mags, but with harsher downsides. Depending on your game mode, you can pick either of the later two. Personally, I'm more of a search player, so I'll go with the 40-round mags, but if you're playing an objective-based respawn mode, then you might want to switch to the 60-round instead. And finally, for material penetration, it is standard for an assault rifle, which can be improved with FMJ if you want. Nothing too out of the ordinary here. However, if you look at the description of the 40-round reload, it says that it holds 40 rounds of 7.62 ammunition. This got me thinking whether this is just a typo or it is a placeholder bug where they put the mag from the Lachmann 7.62 battle rifle instead. In that case, it'd have a better material penetration, and based on my testing, all of the mags have the base penetration values, so there's nothing to worry about. But with that, we're done with all of the base stats of the Lachmann-556, along with most of its unique attachments, and now's the time to see how to build it optimally. With a vast pool of attachment options to select from, there's actually multiple ways to build this gun, but I'll share 2 of my most favorite ways to run the Lachmann-556 with which I had the most success with. The first one is my aggressive flex build, where I have the Lock 12 barrel, which gives us a better 3-shot consistency up close, paired up with the Harbinger D20 muzzle to mitigate the range and bullet velocity penalties of the barrel. I'm running the Lachmann S9 factory stock for ADS speed and overall mobility, the S-Grip 0 to gain back the bullet spread and flinch resistance that we lost from the stock, and finally I'm topping it off with the 40-round mags. And again, if you're playing respawns, then you may shift to the 60-round reload instead. With this build, our guaranteed 5-shot and potential 4-shot range becomes a great 35 meters, and paired up with its low recoil, you can comfortably challenge even beyond that without worrying about anything too much. Our ADS speed is standard, however, all of our mobility stats are increased by a substantial amount. Our flinch is also reduced, and you can comfortably challenge encounters at any range with this build. This is probably the best way to use the Lachmann-556, at least according to me. However, I want to share another build which is leaned more towards a long-range passive playstyle. With this, we're using the Polar Fire Suppressor for concealment, range, and bullet velocity, paired up with the Aurora 90 barrel. This is the only barrel that doesn't harm our movement speed and also gives a nice boost to our range and velocity. This time we're having the FT Mobile stock for aim down sight and sprint speed, the 1 milliwatt PEC laser for BSA, and finally the 40-round mags. With this build, our effective range is around 50 meters, but you can confidently challenge even beyond that thanks to its low recoil and good BSA. Our aim down sight is on the slower side because this is designed for a passive playstyle, and the same goes for its mobility. But on the flip side, this setup is very good at doing the purpose it's meant to serve. So if you don't feel like rushing and instead want to challenge head glitches and hold down lanes, then this is the perfect setup for you guys. These are the two builds with which I found the most success with, and I'd highly recommend to give both a try and see which one you like the most. However, as I mentioned earlier, since this gun has a vast set of attachment options, there's actually a couple more niche ways to build this gun. These are not competitive by any means, but is more for fun if you want to exploit certain key strengths of this weapon by building it in a certain way. The first one up here is my hipfire build, where we have the Lachmann wrap barrel, Corvus PEC Beam 5 laser, and the OPX9 foregrip, all of which contribute towards hipfire accuracy. The Lachmann S9 factory stock for mobility, and we top it off with the 60-round mag this time since we'll be spraying through our entire mag. With this setup, our hipfire is the best in the entire assault rifle category, and in fact, it is better than almost all the SMGs in the game. But again, this build is more suited for camo challenges, or if you want a shift in your playstyle and instead just want to try something fun in your games. And finally, I want to share a build which is by far the most ridiculous setup I've ever seen in this game. This is my mobility build, where we have the Lock 12 barrel, FT Mobile stock, Schlager PEC Box 4, 15-round reload, and the LMK 64 grip. And with this build, our sprint speed is the second fastest in its class, just behind the AS Val. It is in fact faster than many of the SMGs in the game. However, the main attraction of this build is its aim down sight speed. This is by far the fastest, not only in its category, not even in the entire game, but perhaps the fastest full auto ADS speed in the entire franchise at just 91 milliseconds. This is so ridiculously fast that you won't even notice the animation of aiming down your sights. It's just instant. There's an Argus build in this game which can ADS even faster at 76 milliseconds, but as far as full auto weapons are concerned, this is just comically fast, and you don't even need to pre-aim anything anymore. Although our magazine capacity is reduced to just 15 rounds, but the whole purpose of this build is just to show how stupidly fast you can ADS in this game. And that's pretty much it. That covers all the builds that I wanted to show, and with that, that's finally going to wrap it up on the gun guide for the new Lachmann-556 assault rifle. As for my thoughts on it, I think this is incredible. This is one of the most consistent weapons in the entire game, and paired up with its low recoil, you can challenge enemies at any range with minimal effort, and it can also hold up on its own very effectively if you use the barrel, which improves our 3-shot potential. This can end up becoming a very good option in the meta, no surprise to see there. And with a mythic on its way, I'm pretty sure that everyone's going to be using this weapon once they get the hang of it. It can perform the role of a flex AR and a main AR equally well. I wouldn't say it's broken at this point, because for that we need to really see how it can hold up against top-tier options in Legendary Ranked. But as of now, this gun is extremely strong and consistent, and you just can't go wrong using it. But of course, those were just my thoughts on the brand new Lachmann-556. Now I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments down below. What do you think of this weapon? Have you unlocked it yet? If yes, then what are your initial impressions on it? And if you haven't, then what are your expectations based on what you saw from this video? Just let all those thoughts in the comment section down below. Next onwards, I'll be focusing on guns which were buffed in the current season, but if you have any other gun in mind that I haven't covered already, then let me know as well. If you want builds for all the weapons, then join my Discord server. And if you're new around here, make sure to subscribe and leave a like on this video. And I'll catch you guys on the next one.